Wenn Sie mich ansprechen, sagen Sie mein Führer. Verstanden? Haben Sie keinen Respekt vor Autorität? Ihre Worte gewähren Einblick in einen höchst verräterischen Geist. I am so sorry, mein Führer. Sind Sie denn ein Idiot? No, mein Führer. Sind Sie ein verkleideter Schurke, ein Jude? Ein verräterischer Jude? No, mein Führer. I'm from Arizona.
Wow, oh my goodness, I'm finally back. Get ready for another 3 videos before I disappear yet again for another 7 years. Speaking of 7 years, that's how long I have to wait for my delinquent student loan payments to leave my record. I can't buy a house! No. If Jake Paul has taught me anything, it's that when you have haters, that when push comes to shove, you gotta puff out your chest, look them in the eyes, and dab on them. Wow, I really missed making videos for all 26 of you. I'm not gonna disappear again, I promise, okay? This is the last time, I'm here to stay. Anyways, what current event drew my presence back onto this decrepit platform? Well, if you're a long-standing viewer of this channel, there's one thing you know about me. I hate Hasan Piker. Now, I would never call for the public execution of Hasan Piker, as it is both optically, morally, and legally wrong, but if those parameters were not factors, then perhaps I'd reconsider. But Hasan Piker is only a drop in the bucket. This video is not about the poorly digested, rock-hard turd dollop plopping into the toilet bowl we call the internet. Rather, it is about the ripples in that toilet water that the solid poop nugget caused. And one of those ripples is the Ethan Klein situation and his H3H3 Snark subreddit, who seems to be responsible for calling Child Protective Services to his house. Now, this all started with the Hasan content nuke, and arguably it started before then. Obviously, the fallout between Hassan and Ethan goes back further, and from what I can tell, the H3 Snark subreddit has been around even longer than that, but it's gotten really bad in the past few weeks, and it seems that the Hasan content nuke is clearly a milestone and a big factor in it. Now, since you probably already know the story through me or somebody else, I'm just going to speed run it to catch you up, as I'm sure 90% of you already know what's happening, while the other 10% of you have, like, you know, had sex before. Ethan Klein, Hasan Piker, podcast, Israel, Palestine, Battle Royale. Both of them like Palestine. Hasan Piker is a sociopath who likes one of the terrorist groups. Ethan Klein hates both of the terrorist groups. Hasan Piker grew up with rich parents, can't handle criticism, fragile, narcissistic personality disorder, gets mad at Ethan for being a normal person. Hasan's large fan base starts harassing Ethan. Ethan's eyes open. Hasan Piker is a massive douchebag. Content nuke comes out, exposing Hasan Piker's propensity to do terrorism apologetics. Mentally ill people with no job or sex life use Ethan as a punching bag. And now we're here. Snark subreddits are by no means abnormal. In fact, they're quite common, to a horrifying degree. And I saw a tweet that described them pretty well. If I can find it, I'll put it up on the screen, but Snarkers are essentially the female equivalent of incels. They are sex deprived, terminally online, hateful losers who get joy from treating other people like and the H3 Snark subreddit is easily one of the most toxic I've ever seen. It would be unfair to attribute all of these people as Hasan fans or pro-Palestinians or leftists or anything like that, but that being said, most of these people seem to be at least one of them. They often run defense for Hasan or accuse Ethan of supporting the side of Palestinian people. Another great way to tell if these people are Hasan fans is if they ever mention Destiny completely unprovoked. Any form of criticism is immediately called invalid and ascribed to Destiny and his community. Now look, if there's one thing I love to do, it's blaming people for my problems. But the difference is that everything is everyone's fault. I've never done anything wrong in my entire life. Hasan, on the other hand, is the opposite of me. I'm like Gandhi, and he's like Draymond Green on bath salts. I completely forgot I was making a video for a second. I thought I was having one of my like schizo rants where I just yell at the wall and pretend to talk to friends that I don't have. Anyways, Ethan Klein revealed that he is being harassed with Child Protective Service workers in this video here.
I knew this content nuke was going to draw a lot of negative attention, seeing how extreme Hasan and his fan base are and his orbiters, but the lengths to which they've gone to harass us and get revenge for going after their god king Hasan has frankly gone beyond any type of point of civility and humanity, to the point where they're, well, They're calling CPS, Child Protective Services, to come to our house and break up our family.
Now, it is not abnormal for mentally ill people to stalk and harass you online. Personally, I do it all the time to Doja Cat. But calling CPS on somebody manages to be an extremely unique form of harassment I have yet to see in my time on YouTube. I mean, obviously, aside from like the whole Daddy-O-5 thing, but the difference is the fat retard running his channel documented everything he did to his children. This guy literally recorded himself abusing his own children, and then he was just like, another difference is that Ethan Klein's kids remain relatively offline, like the Kleins do not use their children for content. So obviously, if people are calling CPS on them, there must be some relatively concrete evidence, or at least enough of a sneaking suspicion to morally grant you the peace of mind to do such a thing, right? But you only assume that because you are likely a relatively mentally stable person, and I use that word lightly. We are not talking about normal people, okay? We are talking about Redditors.
On Friday morning, an agent showed up to our house saying that they had received an anonymous tip that our children were crawling around in eating dog and contracting diseases. Not only have they called CPS on us, now they're starting to try to call in a 5150 to get me committed.
Yes, that is right. The allegation is that Ethan Klein and his wife Ela Klein are feeding their children dog, or at the very least are complicit in the consumption of said dog. But where did they get this idea? Well, supposedly this all started because Ethan talked about on his podcast how his dog Olive had giardia, or I think he meant to say giardiasis, which is a parasitic disease caused by the parasite Giardia. To sum up what Giardia is, it pretty much just gives you a bad case of creamy chocolate ass mustard. Apparently, they noticed their youngest son, Sonny, who is not even 1 year old, had diarrhea, and they thought that maybe Sonny had contracted it from the dog. From the research that I've done, this seems to be somewhat of a common thing, with the survivability of giardiasis being very high, even in infants. In fact, they are more than likely to die of botulism after eating a spoonful of honey than they are to die from this. But as it turns out, their son didn't even have giardia. It was like just a sneaking suspicion at the time. He just happened to have a bad case of the green apple splatters while their dog had the infection. Regardless, the situation has been used as some form of moral justification for calling Child Protective Services on the Kleins. But how do we know it has anything to do with Snark? Well, Snark seems to be the main people celebrating this kind of stuff. What's more is that a certain individual named Bad Empanada has claimed ownership over this CPS report. Now, the screenshot was taken from Ethan's video, and while I don't think he himself fabricated this image, I have a hard time believing that this is actually real. Like, this is cartoonish evil. It's so on the nose and forward that I can't imagine he would actually say this. Maybe he was joking or something, I don't know. But regardless, if he truly was the one responsible or not, there's no denying that he stoked the flames of the discourse.
He lets his dogs all over his mansion, and he just leaves the on the floor, something that is probably related to the fact that his former housekeeper is suing him for a number of different reasons. So I would assume he doesn't actually have a housekeeper anymore, or perhaps he lost his extra housekeeper. So now the house is just like covered in dog, and he has kids, and his kids like crawl into the dog, and God forbid, I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it or if it's just from like contact with it with their hands or something, but they contracted a parasite that I had previously never heard of in my life called Giardia.
This clip is also taken from Ethan's video, who took a clip from the live streamer Denims. I very strongly dislike Denims because nothing pisses me off more than smug retards who don't realize how stupid they are. Also, really funny stuff, she edits her pictures to make her ass look fat. Wow, Denims, your ass is so fat it caused the JPEG to develop artifacting. Your ass is so monstrously huge that it is bending space-time and warping this corner of the wall. That's incredible. That's what it's all about. Denims always has this eating smirk on her face, similar to the face that I might make after I found out Draymond Green has child on his computer. 2 Draymond Green jokes in one video, completely by chance too. Anyways, Denim's eating smirk becomes a supervillain poop slurping grin the second she hears of behaviors that would make most people, you know, not happy.
He lets his dogs all over his mansion, and he just leaves the on the floor, something that is probably related to the fact that his former housekeeper is suing him for a number of different reasons. And he has kids, and his kids like crawl into the dog, and God forbid, I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it or if it's just from like contact with it with their hands or something.
You might notice in this video, there's a bunch of these chat messages from Denim's stream where everyone is saying, call CPS right now. Which yes, if a parent was negligent enough to allow their child to consume dog feces, I would be prone to agree. But there's no evidence that that is actually what happened. It's just a bad faith assumption coming from somebody who already has a disposition against Ethan. Bad Empanada is not privy to any special information. Everything he's saying is based on inferences he made. Denims also goes on to say that calling CPS on them is fine because kids their age don't remember things, so who cares? It's fine. It doesn't matter at all. Kids don't experience trauma when they're 4.
Create any bad memory for them. You're not forming memories at 3 years old, and it's very rare that you're forming memories at 5 years old. Now, yes, you are. No, you're not. When we're talking about being able to remember, being able to recall memories, it's like 4 is the cutoff. But even if you are forming any memories at 4, you're not going to be able to remember them past like 15. You have maybe 1 or 2 memories.
Wow, what a great argument. I wonder how it pans out when you apply it to other things that children might experience at that age. Even her audience doesn't agree with her because it's such a ridiculous thing to say. Even if you couldn't form memories at that age, major life events such as these could cause long-lasting effects, especially if they are compounded and continue to happen. My favorite part about this is that she goes to look up the information, is proven wrong, and then repeats her argument as if what she just read proved her correct.
Talking to a random stranger once isn't really memorable for a kid. There's a wide variation about the mean across methods, cohorts. The average age of adults' earliest memories is 3.5 years old. You're not really forming memories at 3.
I also don't get it in general because, like, the ability to create memories, like, I don't see how that's relevant to your argument that it's okay to call CPS. If you believe that Ethan is doing bad things, then it should ultimately be irrelevant. The result of his children forming a negative response to these events would be a net positive because the alternative would be them continuing to live in a house full of dogs. I just don't understand why this argument is being made at all, because even if Ethan is making the point that his children are being traumatized, their ability to recall events as traumatic would be irrelevant to you unless you genuinely believe there was no greater purpose aside from harassment. Which makes me think that this is just a huge self-report. And once again, this all ties into H3 Snark as they are pretty much all on board with this, which is tangentially related to Hassan Piker as well. Hasan was asked about the situation with Ethan having CPS called on him, and he said this.
Thoughts on her fans calling CPS on Ethan?
Oh, here.
What the f are you talking about, big dog? What an insane assertion. Something that Ethan has said. I feel like people have...
No, what? No, I did not accuse Hasan of anything in the video. Why? I don't understand why he immediately is like, Ethan said, what? He just said, what are your thoughts on it?
Are now hallucinating positions that I don't even think Ethan Klein is saying.
No, nobody's accused you
Why
of it.
in the ever-loving would I ever do that, or even one of my fans will ever do that?
Now, rather than saying, hey, I don't think my fans are responsible for that, I vehemently disavow it, and Ethan does not deserve to have CPS called on him, Hasan laser focuses on the assumption that his fans are responsible and somehow comes to the conclusion that Ethan directly alleged this. I love that Hasan refuses to watch the H3 content nuke on him simply because he's like, oh, I already know all the arguments. But he is demonstrating in real time that he has no fucking clue what he's talking about and would probably greatly benefit from actually engaging with criticism. But as idiotic as it is to be charitable to somebody like Hassan Piker, who has built his career on countless strawmen and bad faith retorts, I'm still gonna do it. There are probably some snarkers that are Hasan fans, but I would be willing to guess that a large chunk of snarkers only support Hasan, if they even do, because they hate Ethan so much. And taking up that position is advantageous to their goal, which is ultimately, like, I don't know, get him off the internet. What the fuck would they do if they got him off the internet? Like, they would have nothing left. They would have to go find some other retard to harass. Obviously, Hasan has not directly called for this either. He is overwhelmingly not responsible for this. That said, the issue has been exacerbated in the wake of the Hasan content nuke, and Hasan has not done his due diligence to either A, engage in his criticisms in good faith, or B, attempt to disavow the harassment that Ethan has been experiencing for months now. It's also not a good look that Hasan, rather than directly disavowing the allegation that he and his audience are responsible, denies the claim by insinuating the claim is character assassination and focuses mainly on the ridiculous nature of the claim itself. It seems to me that Hasan cares more about the negative claim against him than he does about the extremely fucked up situation Ethan is dealing with. That would ultimately be my biggest criticism against him in this particular, situation with H3 Snark. I would say that Hasan is the least subhuman person on that side of the argument, but there's also no denying that his behavior over the last year has played a significant role in fanning the flames of the issue. I don't expect him to have full control of his audience, especially the more deranged ones, but a little bit of effort and empathy would really change my perspective on his culpability. Like, he doesn't even have to try that hard, just a little bit. However, Hasan says something so ironic, I just can't ignore it.
The only thing I've done so far in terms of Ethan Klein's many attacks against me, which have obviously backfired on him spectacularly, and that's actually caused him to double down, triple down, quadruple down in very meaningful ways, including randomly going after Redditors, trying to get Reddits unbanned, or trying to get Reddit.
See, now this is ignorant and this is dumb, because this is pathetic. I don't like this.
It's banned. Is that it's pure projection.
The fact that Hasan Piker, yes, the Hasan Piker, who cries and complains every single time a clip of him gets uploaded to livestream fails, is calling Ethan's attempt to remove literal harassment subreddits that are potentially involved in submitting a fraudulent CPS report against him is projection? Oh my god, isn't there a word for that? Isn't there a word for when you ascribe certain characteristics to somebody else because you're insecure about them? Oh, yeah, it's called projection. There's 4 layers of irony here. It's unbelievable. Now, let me tell you, one of the few things that brings me solace in this world is knowing that in 12 years, when Hasan Piker is 62 years old, he's going to be on his deathbed due to complications with diabetes. And as the light fades from his eyes and his body becomes weightless, in his final moments, he will realize that his life was all for nothing. That's the dream, baby. That's what I'm fighting for. There's also this other guy, Adam McIntyre. And no, I'm not talking about Adam McIntyre from Arby and the Chief. I don't even think most of you are old enough to know what the Arby and the Chief is. Oh my god, I just realized as I'm recording this video that Arby and the Chief was pretty much my skibbity toilet. No, this Adam McIntyre is the one who's best known for being friends with Colleen Ballinger when he was 13 years old and her being weird with him, and then milking the fuck out of it until he was famous. I get it, dude. She groomed you or whatever. I don't even think she groomed him. But 25 goddamn videos makes me think that you don't give a about anything aside from making as much money as possible. I don't like looking at this person, okay? And I want to make it clear, it's not because he is insanely flamboyantly gay. James Charles is insanely flamboyantly gay, and I have no problem looking at him. But no, my problem with Adam McIntyre is that he looks like a skeleton with skin wrapped around it. I know that everyone falls under that category, but he makes it look different. Anyways, he fully supports the Snarkers. He's said as much. And Hila, Ethan's wife, said that Adam should disappear off the internet because he's super toxic, he's super annoying, he's hateful, and because, like I said, he has literally co-signed the Snarkers.
I bring this to YouTube because I respect the H3 Snark, and I believe that they're being silenced. And I saw on the H3 Snark,
he very clearly actively browses the H3 Snark subreddit, which once again is just full of people who are A-logging and stalking and planning gay ops, and not to mention just being super toxic in general. And essentially he's twisting this passing phrase, which is Hila basically saying this guy is a loser and he should disappear, a very harmless comment, and turning it into she wants to kill me. Guys, the Snarkers, they're being silenced, okay? All they're trying to do is harass Ethan and his children with overworked CPS agents. That being said, don't you think using C-tier internet insults is a little too far? These are the types of people that we're working with here. Recently, the Snark has temporarily shut down because Ethan is currently trying to subpoena Reddit for the information of its moderators to sue them, and he doesn't really have a choice because other Snark subreddits have been banned for this behavior, while his does not get banned. Hasan Piker and Trisha Paytas are two examples of that. On top of this, Ethan even made a subreddit called Snark, which was a Snark page for other Snark pages, and it got removed. And then somehow it was reinstated with a different moderator, and apparently the new moderator is also an H3 Snark moderator. It's actually insane. But why? You know, why is Ethan suing them? Is it just because of the harassment, or is it because of the CPS thing? Well, it actually happened before the CPS thing, surprisingly, and I'll explain why. So supposedly, one of the mods of the H3 Snark made a fake post about how the normal H3 subreddit was deleting posts about Ramadan, which turned out to be just like completely fake. It's a straight up lie. And this wasn't just by some random user on the subreddit, by the way. This was like an actual mod, which kind of makes sense if you think about it, because if anything, I expect the people who are so deep into it that they mod the subreddit to be way more insane than people that are just casually browsing. You gotta climb the ranks. It's like Call of Duty, only instead of guns, you have antidepressants. What I just described, by the way, is categorically defamation. Not to mention that lying about Ethan is not uncommon. There are so many there. So yeah, it's just like a recipe for disaster overall. It was only a matter of time before this happened. Snarkers have labeled this as doxing, which is objectively not true. A subpoena is a legal method of extracting information to use in a court setting. It's not like he's going to release your full name, address, and phone number. Overall, these people are insane. And apparently H3 has a mole in their like modding Discord, and the whole operation is falling apart. Now they're using a new subreddit called H3H3 Productions with an underscore. It's just a complete mess. I think the moral of the story here is that no matter how many mentally ill people hate you, I don't think they can ever win, because they are ultimately miserable and worthless and kind of fight for nothing. They also fight a battle that just like you can't really win. When people are so obsessed with you that they lie about you, stalk you, try to dig up information, etc., it's because they are very sad and lonely people. They seek people of what they perceive to be of higher power or status than them, because if they manage to break that person down, then that means they are more powerful. And they do this because they have no power in their real lives, and they have no method of getting it because they have no talent, they're not very smart, they don't have social skills, they're ugly, they're fat, etc. I think it also speaks to how insane people can be in general. In my time as a public figure, I've learned that there are a lot of mentally ill people on this planet. I remember this one time where this guy like commented on one of my videos, and he was like, "I'm aware of your forum history and I'm gonna expose you," which is funny because I am not an active member in any forum, nor have I ever been. I might have made a post or two on the Minecraft forums as a kid, but other than that, this guy was like clearly delusional. And then I went to his channel, and he was this schizophrenic black guy that thought he was a vampire. I'm not making this up. This is like a very real thing. Regardless, here at EFEXKAY Nation, we support H3H3. And before anyone else calls me a Zionist, I am not. In fact, I hope no one wins that war so we can turn that place into one big Walmart. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. I might make a part 2 about this because Hasan is still actively spurging out and Ethan's spurging out and everyone's freaking out right now. So, you know, there's nothing else going on too. There's like no drama at all the last like month. So gotta talk about something. So let me know if you want to see that so I have a reason to do it. And if you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe for epic sex. More videos coming soon, I promise. Bye.